Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani, and today's video is going to be on hormones. Again, a lot of people know about hormones. I've heard that term before. Essentially, hormones are chemical messengers in our bodies. They're secreted by various glands or tissues, such as our thyroid glands, a common one. We have our testicles or ovaries, depending if you're a male or female. And we also have the adrenal glands, which sit on top of our kidneys that tend to be forgotten about, but they produce lots of stress hormones and even sex hormones that are really important for our health. So we're going to kind of talk about hormones, kind of what healthy hormone levels are at, and when our hormones dysfunction, what's happening. So I'm going to try to break it down and make it a little bit more easier, a little more bite-sized to swallow. So again, all hormones come from cholesterol. Cholesterol is an essential building block for life. About 90% of cholesterol is actually made by our body. It's made by the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, hemomethylglutarate CoA reductase enzyme. The same enzyme that's actually blocked by statin medications such as Lipitor, Zocor, Zetia, etc. So that's why it's really important. We don't want to be blocking our cholesterol. It's going to affect our hormones if we want to have healthy hormones. So again, dietary cholesterol is going to have an effect. Again, a lot of it's going to come from the body. Big issue is if we eat too much sugar, our cholesterol will go up, and that's going to create inflammation. And when insulin goes up, it does a couple of funny things with our hormones I'm going to talk about here in a bit. But good dietary fat, good cholesterol will have an effect at bringing some good building blocks in there. We don't want to artificially increase cholesterol. If we artificially increase it, we're typically adding inflammation to the body. So eating good fats and proteins, if it does increase our cholesterol, we'll typically see the HDLs and the LDLs go up. So the ratios of our cholesterols will stay intact. That's really the big thing. And we'll also keep our triglycerides down, and we'll have a healthy triglyceride to HDL ratio, ideally 2-to-1 or 1-to-1. So really important. We have a huge effect on our hormones by what we eat. So all hormones come from cholesterol. One of the main building blocks of all hormones is called pregnenolone. You can see here just by the first prefix, preg is essentially meaning pregnant, right? It's the mother of all hormones. And pregnenolone can go a couple different directions here. We see off to the right, you're going to have progesterone, and progesterone is, again, it's our pro-pregnancy hormone, right? Pro-gestation, gestation being having a baby. Progesterone is really important because it can do a couple of things. It can actually go downstream to cortisol, which is a stress hormone, or it can actually go upstream, if you will, to be aldosterone. So really interesting. When we get more and more stress, one of the phenomenons we see is called a cortisol escape, where more of our building blocks are actually being shuttled to stress hormones, and it's actually moving away from the anabolic side of our hormone cascade. So when that word anabolic means, it means building. So when we talk about hormones, we talk about hormone enhancing drugs in sports, we really have two kinds of hormones. We have anabolic hormones. These are hormones that build us up, that help us heal. That's going to be on this side of the hormone cascade. And then we have catabolic or anti-inflammatory hormones, and that's going to primarily be in the cortisol area. And actually cortisol goes to the liver and actually gets metabolized into cortisone. And I think everyone here on the video probably has heard of cortisone injections for pain. So this is the same kind of thing that our body, this is the same kind of thing that an injection does, but our body creates it naturally. That's why when we're chronically in stress and chronically in pain and we're making more of this and this is going up, it's very rare that we have good energy when we are in pain because our hormones are chronically going to putting out the fire versus creating healthy energy and blood sugar. So if our hormones are going down here and not to healthy balance up here, then we're going to have less energy because we're trying to fight the inflammation, fight the fire in our joints, our back pain, our neck pain, our headaches. So like I said, anabolic on one side, building up, catabolic on the other, trying to help fight the fire of inflammation. So we talked about pregnenolone. Pregnenolone at progesterone. Progesterone can also go to aldosterone. Aldosterone is a mineral corticoid. It's actually produced in the outer layer of the adrenal glands, in the cortex. And its job is to basically hold on to minerals. It goes to the kidneys and it has the kidneys hold on to extra minerals. So what we see is when we have adrenal fatigue or our adrenals aren't able to adapt to stress, we tend to have lower levels of aldosterone and we pee out a lot of our minerals. Now, one of the telltale signs of adrenal fatigue and or low aldosterone is when you get up fast from a standing or laying down position, you'll get that dizzy kind of feeling. You may even see stars. That's because when our aldosterone's lower, our blood pressure tends to be lower because minerals tend to hold on to water. When minerals hold on to water, we tend to have a higher blood pressure. Higher blood pressure means that we can perfuse blood up to our brain faster when we go from horizontal to vertical. That's one of the symptoms we feel is that dizziness. So aldosterone is super important. And if you have adrenal fatigue, one of the things you can do to combat that is do about a half a teaspoon of high quality sea salt, either Celtic, Himalayan, or real salt in your water. Do that twice a day, and that's going to give you the extra minerals to just give your bodies an extra chance to hold on to more minerals. Very beneficial. So again, we have progesterone here, which goes down to cortisol. If we're super stressed, we're going to push all of our progesterone down to cortisol. It's called the cortisol escape. And this actually really hurts female hormones because if progesterone is going down to cortisol, we start dropping progesterone. And we get this phenomenon known as estrogen dominance. Dr. John Lee wrote a lot about this in the 90s. Basically, progesterone has a natural balance of about 25 times more progesterone than 1 unit of estrogen. And when that ratio starts dropping below 20 into the teens, we start having estrogen dominance. And we have lots of symptoms that tend to happen with that. When we have lower progesterone in the second half of our cycle, we're actually going to bleed more profusely. Potential anemias because of lost blood. We're going to have breast tenderness, cramping. Our blood sugar is going to go off, potential fibroids, and even endometriosis and polycystic ovarian syndrome. So really important. Progesterone also has an influence on our sex hormones too. So progesterone can actually affect other hormones downstream and even affect our male hormones as well. Now going over to the other side of the fence here, the anabolic side, we have DHEA. DHEA is another building block for our anabolic hormones. You can see here, it can go down to the estrogen side. This is more of the female side over here. And a quick little tip, we have 3 major kinds of estrogens. We have estrone, estradiol, or estriol. Keep it really simple. The prefix kind of tell what it is. So estrone, or AKA E1, estradiol, or di for E2, and estriol, or E3. Just an easy way to remember it so you don't forget. E3, E2, and E1. And the most protective and most beneficial out of all of the estrogens is going to be the estriol. That's going to be the more anti-cancer, anti-heart disease ones, where the estradiol is going to be more growth promoting, right? More growth, more fibroids, more endometriosis, more fibrocystic breasts. So we want, ideally a good ratio of estriol to estradiol. I'll do another video on that at some point in the future. And again, we want to have healthy levels of progesterone, like I mentioned, about 23 to 25 times more in relation to progesterone. And then this side of the fence here, especially for our men, we're going to have more testosterone if you're a man versus estrogen, and vice versa for a female. But testosterone is really, really important. And this can actually go downstream over here as well to a hormone called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Too much of this can actually cause decreased blood flow to hair and cause the hair on the head to fall out and actually cause abnormal hair growth in the ears and nose. But this kind of gives you a whole idea of the hormone cascade. Testosterone here for men. Also, we have the testes contributing to testosterone as well. So imagine our testes coming up here and contributing. And same thing here, we have our ovaries coming to the game to help out. So you can see here, a lot of people forget that our adrenal glands have this type of an effect on pushing our hormones and supporting our hormones. And also, as you go into menopause, the ovaries aren't functioning at optimal levels, if even at all, and our body will be leaning more on our adrenal glands for this whole entire mechanism to work. So really important that we manage our adrenals, because if our blood sugar's off, if we're under stress, we're not sleeping well, emotional stress, physical stress, chronic pain, chronic infections, thyroid issues, this is going to affect the whole entire kit and caboodle. And I also want to connect the adrenal hormone cascade with the thyroid too, because the thyroid is one of my favorite hormones. We actually need cortisol We need healthy levels of cortisol for thyroid conversion. Too high, it'll actually block the conversion and it will increase or actually suppress TSH. And too low, we won't be able to convert it. So cortisol is really important for thyroid conversion. And we also need healthy levels of progesterone. Progesterone actually helps activate the TPO enzyme, the thyroid peroxidase enzyme, which actually helps bind iodine to the molecule tyrosine to actually make the thyroid hormone T4, which gets converted to T3. So progesterone and cortisol are vital for the formation of healthy thyroid hormone. So as you can see here, the take-home message is manage your stress, manage your blood sugar, make sure you're infection-free. If you have gut issues, you have to get the gut addressed, because so many of my patients, their hormones off because they have hidden inflammation in their gut, and it's literally an energy drain that really throws off their hormones, and they could be sitting there with hormone creams and pills and herbs and trying to do all these different things, but it's really the problems in their gut. And a lot of times you may not have the conventional gut symptoms. You may not have the bloating, the gas, the diarrhea, the constipation. You may just have a critter there or something going on that's silent and is causing all these problems. So again, if you want to dig a little deeper and find out kind of where your hormones are at, or you have a challenging situation that you haven't got addressed yet, feel free and click on screen or reach out below. Also subscribe so you can get access to more of my videos. And I look forward to speaking with you soon. This is Dr. J signing off.